The birth of Earth is part of the larger story of the formation of our solar system, which occurred about 4.6 billion years ago. Here's a summary of the key events in Earth's formation. About 4.6 billion years ago, a giant cloud of gas and dust, known as the solar nebula *, existed in space. This nebula was made up of the remnants of earlier stars that had exploded in supernovae, spreading heavy elements like iron and nickel into space. This cloud was mostly hydrogen and helium, but it also contained heavier elements that would eventually form planets. At some point, this cloud of gas and dust began to collapse under its own gravity. The collapse may have been triggered by a nearby supernova or other cosmic events. As the cloud collapsed, it started to spin, and due to conservation of angular momentum, it flattened into a rotating disk. The center of this disk began to heat up and, over time, formed the Sun. This is the point at which the solar system truly began to take shape. As the Sun was forming in the center, dust and gas particles in the surrounding disk collided and stuck together in a process called accretion. These clumps of material gradually grew larger, forming planetesimals, small bodies of rock and metal, and eventually protoplanets, larger bodies that could become planets. Earth, like the other planets, formed through this process of accretion. The planetesimals and protoplanets collided and merged over millions of years, growing in size. The heat from these collisions, as well as from the decay of radioactive elements, caused the material to melt, allowing heavier elements like iron and nickel to sink toward the center, forming the Earth's core. Lighter elements rose to form the mantle and crust. During the early stages of Earth's formation, it was a molten ball of rock and metal. This period, known as the Hadean Eon *, was characterized by intense volcanic activity, frequent collisions with other planetesimals, and a high-temperature environment. Around 4.5 billion years ago, a Mars-sized body, often referred to as Theia *, collided with the early Earth. This collision was catastrophic, but it resulted in the ejection of a large amount of debris from Earth's outer layers, which eventually coalesced to form the Moon. As Earth continued to cool, a solid crust began to form on the surface. This process happened over millions of years, but Earth was still volcanically active. Outgassing from volcanic eruptions released water vapor, carbon dioxide, and other gases into the atmosphere. Over time, the water vapor condensed to form Earth's oceans, and the atmosphere began to resemble the one we have today, though it was initially toxic and lacked free oxygen. By about 3.8 billion years ago, conditions on Earth became stable enough to allow the first forms of life to emerge. The exact origins of life are still a subject of scientific investigation, but the appearance of simple microorganisms marks the beginning of the biological history of Earth. The Earth formed from a giant cloud of gas and dust about 4.6 billion years ago. Through processes like accretion and collisions with other celestial bodies, Earth grew from tiny particles into a fully formed planet. The planet experienced intense heating and volcanic activity, leading to the formation of its core, mantle, and crust. The Moon was likely formed from a giant impact, and over millions of years, Earth cooled enough to support liquid water and eventually life. The whole process, from the collapse of the solar nebula to the formation of Earth, took tens of millions of years, but it set the stage for the planet we know today.